The summer of 1985 was a normal summer in Japan. Urban holiday excursions drove families back into the cities. Workers made round-trip journeys between cities on a daily basis, and skies above Tokyo rang with air traffic. In the evening of the 12th of August, 524 passengers boarded Japan Airlines Flight 123, all who had no idea that they would become part of aviation's blackest page. The Boeing 747 SAR-46, JA-8119, was not an ordinary plane. This short-range model had been fitted with extra seats crammed into its gigantic body to handle Japan's most crowded domestic routes. At 6:04 p.m., as the gigantic jet roared down runway 15L, all was routine to the passengers strapping themselves into their seats. At the controls, Captain Masumi Takahama and First Officer Yutaka Sasaki, both experienced pilots, completed their climb checklist with silky smoothness. 12 more minutes, and at 24,000 feet above Sagami Bay, the tranquility was shattered. A blinding explosion rocked the plane as the rear pressure bulkhead ruptured asunder with a rending crash. The force was so great that it ripped the entire vertical stabilizer loose and burst all hydraulic lines in a moment of doom. Within the cabin, oxygen masks dropped as the aircraft began its stomach-lurching, out-of-control climb. What followed was a 32-minute battle with physics itself. Without hydraulics, pilots resorted to differential engine thrust in a final bid to get the damaged plane aloft. The massive 747 rolled and pitched like a wounded beast, climbing to 32,000 feet before plunging towards the jagged mountain ridges below. In the cabin, flight attendants coaxed passengers into the brace position, as others penned last messages to loved ones on scraps of paper. It was 6:56 p.m. The inevitable took place. Flight 123 smashed into the steeply wooded ridges of Mount Takamahara at close to 400 miles an hour. Such was the devastation of the blow that rescue officials initially said everyone was killed. But against logic, 4 women, all who were part of the relatively whole rear cabin, survived to narrate their cold turkey accounts. Used as testimony, their account is a gruesome retelling of what happened afterward. Stranded in the wreckage, they could hear other survivors shouting for help all night long. But due to the isolated landscape and red tape, rescuers wouldn't arrive until morning, almost 14 hours after the crash. By then, all but 4 had died. The official explanation was bad terrain and fading light, but others questioned whether a quicker response would have been able to save more lives. The investigation toned up an even more terrible fact. This disaster had years to ripen. The same plane in 1978, when it touched down at Osaka, had suffered a tail strike. The ensuing repair, carried out by Boeing technicians but approved by JL engineers, weakened the rear pressure bulkhead irreparably. Rather than a sturdy splice plate with 3 rows of rivets required, the repair used a double row that created a fatal stress point. During the next 7 years, the faulty repair was utilized through approximately 12,000 cycles of pressurization decompression, with every flight, tiny cracks, until one evening last August during summer, metal finally gave way with wondrous violence. Charges equally ghastly were falsifications of maintenance records, charges which resulted in criminal indictments against several JL top executives. The ripple effects remake world aviation. Boeing rewrote the pressure bulkhead on the 747 from the ground up and redrew its repair manual. Japan Airlines paid out billions of dollars in compensation and lost forever its good name. Most importantly, if at all, the disaster led to new worldwide standards for aircraft maintenance manuals and inspections. Today there is a solemn memorial off to one side of the crash site, stone plaques with the names of all 520 dead. Family members make the sorrowful trek to this mountain garbage dump each year on August 12th, some leaving offerings, some merely standing silently as a memorial. The wreckage itself remains where it crashed, a permanent grave for those who were not supposed to be saved. The legacy of Flight 123 endures beyond the ugly statistics. It is a grim reminder that flying has no trivial fixes, only postponed consequences. All those redundancies we now take for granted, all that safety gear on newer planes, all reflect on lessons learned on that awful summer evening of terror. Looking back on this tragedy nearly 40 years later, we are reminded of haunting questions. How many lives might have been saved through quicker rescue responses? Why did it take so much tragedy to expose systemic maintenance failures? And most importantly, are we doing enough today to ensure that history doesn't repeat itself? The final cry of the cockpit voice recorder still resonates in the minds of flight experts everywhere. Raise the nose. Raise the nose. Pull up. Pull up. A scream of defiance against impossible circumstances. A testament to man's determination and our precarious hold on the air. Remembering Flight 123, we honor not only the dead, but the safety procedures learned at their cost. This is the story of Japan Airlines Flight 123, an accident which changed aviation.